Once again, it's Maureen Leanne
and Megan Marie
from Leather Unlimited. Welcome to today's Handy Leather Tips video on how to best work with leather on sewing machines.
Using a sewing machine to work with leather can be a somewhat intimidating and seemingly complicated task, but in this video we'll give you some easy and clear-cut tips to guide you to success.
Our first piece of advice for working with leather on a sewing machine is to invest in special sewing needles that are designed specifically for leather. Standard sewing needles will not work on your project. Leather sewing needles come in many sizes, so evaluate the thickness of the leather that you are working with to decide what needle size to use for your project. We recommend tri-point sewing needles, which are designed to cut leather material and can be found at your preferred craft store.
Tip number 2 for working with leather on a sewing machine is to test your intended stitch on a scrap piece of leather. Leather is a unique material and some stitches will not be suitable for sewing. For example, doing a small stitch on leather is not recommendable because you might end up destroying the material. The standard size stitch for working with leather on a sewing machine is longer than a stitch for normal fabrics.
On many sewing machines, you can fine-tune the overall tension of the thread that you are working with. When you work with thin pieces of leather on your sewing machine, the tension should be increased. When you work with thicker pieces of leather, decrease the thread tension. If you find that the thread is constantly breaking off, or if you are experiencing other issues, try adjusting the tension on the thread of the sewing machine to see if it helps. Once again, you may want to test the tension of your thread on a scrap piece of leather.
While working with leather on a sewing machine, one challenge you may run into is having the material stay as one. When sewing with basic fabrics, you can merely bind the material together by using pins. But with leather, if you do this, you will visibly scar the material. One recommendation for holding leather together while using a sewing machine is to attach the leather with alligator clips. To protect the leather even further, you can even place a piece of tape over both sides of the binding spot prior to putting the clips in place, to steer clear of having to worry about marks.
Working with leather on a sewing machine requires practice and experience, but we hope our tips will assist you as you learn the process. When you are able to comfortably use a sewing machine to work with leather, you will find your completed project to be a rewarding product with long-lasting quality and appeal.
For more information on sewing leather, visit Leather Unlimited online at www.leatherunltd.com. We can provide you with leather, tools, materials, patterns, and even more tips for your leather working endeavors.